A very good evening. Thanks for choosing GHOne TV. Delight joining you with the latest happenings throughout the country. Yes, tonight we'll talk about it. We'll spend time. We'll break it down. We'll do the analysis and we'll share all the details with you, our cherished viewers. Well, stay with us within the next 1 hour as we bring you all the updates that you're looking forward to. But before we do so, let's look at some of the top stories that we have for you. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, minority slams High Court ruling ordering rerun of Pandai parliamentary elections, vowing to resist any attempt to fiscally remove the MP from parliament until the appellate process are exhausted. Also coming up tonight, Child Rights International faults government over lack of oversight in second cycle institutions, calling for clear national policy to protect religious rights of students. Tonight, you'd want to stay with me for some more local stories as Bank of Ghana delivers another major policy rate cut to 18%. As it projects continued slowdown in inflation and aims to bolster economic growth. And then join me as we bring you with some sports with Monica Bukiri. As Chief of Staff, Julius Debra urges 2026 World Cup Oversight Committee to move away from scattered efforts, emphasizing that Ghana cannot afford to enter the tournament with the mindset of 2010 or 2014. And later in the bulletin, reports of military officers taking control in Guinea-Bissau in what appears to be a developing coup situation after arrest of President Umaru Mokhtar Sissoco Mbala. We will be bringing you more updates on that developing story. Well, do stay with us tonight as we bring you all these stories and many more in the next few minutes. My name is Kweku. Thank you very much for choosing GHOne TV. Let's take our very first story in here. We're looking at Parliament as proceedings in Parliament were abruptly halted after a heated objection by Majority Chief Whip Nelson Defiamakbo, who insisted that embattled Pandai MP Matthew Nyindam should not be recognized to speak on the 2026 budget debate. Well, Defiamakbo urged that ruling by the Temeng High Court bars Nyindam from functioning as an MP. Minority Leader Dr. Afenyo Markin challenged the objection, prompting Second Deputy Speaker Isaac Esiama to suspend sitting to restore order.
Precedent has been laid and set, or set and laid. So nobody can urge upon this house today that the Honorable Nyindam must have a voice today. It won't happen. Parliament has been properly served. It's not as though Parliament is not aware. Parliament is properly served. Speaker has been served. The clerk has been served. The legal department has been served. So the Honorable Nyindam is now a persona non grata on this floor and to the presence of this Parliament as a member of Parliament. The court says he must go back and go through the processes. If he's duly re-elected, he can come back. But for now, he cannot. I pray that he must even be marched out of the chamber by precedent. I am not saying so. Precedent set by this side when they were here. and the Honorable Dati Kwesi went back and returned triumphantly. So, what was good yesterday must be good today. I have the backing of my side to demand the Honorable Nyindam does not participate further in the business of this house until he goes through re-election.
Mr. Speaker, what the Honorable Dafia Makwa is directing you to do is highly inappropriate, improper. And Mr. Speaker, he adds on to his submissions with a very dangerous precedent. How do you, as a leader, in making your case, create an impression that this is a chamber of brow? This is not a chamber of brow. This is not a brow chamber. We all discuss and Jojo. So to say that it will not happen, we will not allow. No. Mr. Speaker, we are not here with manpower. We are not doing a macho business in this chamber. So we'll be told that a certain 189 has the macho power to move Honorable Nyindam out. No. No. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Matthew Nyindam, as the applicant himself said, and the applicant here is Honorable Dafia Makwa, he himself conceded that he has become aware that there is a stay of execution that has been duly filed if the High Court judge, who at first instance will hear that application, is minded, he should speedily determine for the man to pursue his case at another level. Mr. Speaker, this is a democracy. Let us allow due process of law. Let us not, for whatever convenience, attempt to frustrate others.
Honourable members, I listened to the application by the Majority Chief Whip. I've also listened to the Minority Leader. The Speaker of Parliament has indicated to me that I should freeze this particular matter relating to Honourable Matthew Nyindam, and therefore I'm not going to make any comment on it. I pray that we hold on with the discussion or the commentary on the budget and move on to something else.
Well, allow me to stay on the matter some more as the minority in Parliament slammed the judgment from the High Court in Temeng ordering a rerun of the parliamentary election in Pandai. Well, Justice Manuel Brew plunged in deciding on the petition filed by the NDC parliamentary candidate Daniel Insala alleging massive irregularities during the collation, directed the EC to conduct fresh elections within 30 days. Well, the incumbent MP Matthew Nyindam, however, through his lawyers, has filed an appeal and stay of execution. Addressing the media in Parliament, Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin insisted the incumbent MP remain at post until the appellate process are exhausted, warning any attempt to physically remove him from the chamber will be resisted. Well, the Futu MP described the judgment as an animal farm, one arguing it amounts to a travesty of justice.
Let me first speak directly to the people of Pandai. To the people of Pandai, your Member of Parliament, Honorable Matthew Nyindam, remains the sitting Member of Parliament for the Pandai constituency. He remains a full Member of Parliament. He remains a proud and active member of the Minority Caucus and the New Patriotic Party. No person, no institution, and certainly no flawed judicial order can suspend the mandate you freely and lawfully conferred upon him, unless and until the appellate process, properly invoked and fully exhausted, runs its lawful course. He will continue to serve you with dedication and dignity. Let me state this emphatically and without equivocation. The minority will lawfully resist any attempt, whether subtle or brazen, to bar him from representing his people. We will not permit democratic legitimacy to be overturned by judicial improvisation. How can a judge who calls himself a judge sit in court and misconduct himself in such a manner and expect the country to be quiet? This order, an order with massive political, legal and democratic consequences, was pronounced without the court's full judgments, as I've stated supra. There were no written reasons, no factual findings, no legal analysis, just a naked directive issued into the public domain, and the whole constituency is now being told that there must be a rerun.
Well, we'll now move on to other stories. And here, the National Council of Parent-Teacher Association has condemned a recent statement by the Christian Council of Ghana and the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference on the Wesley Girls case. Well, the two religious bodies had earlier maintained that mission schools must be allowed to uphold their long-standing belief and traditions, insisting their stance is not driven by hostility towards other faiths, but by a desire to preserve the integrity of the institutions that have existed. While reacting to this, General Secretary of the PTA, Gabson Kofi Ralph, described their position as unacceptable. He spoke to my colleague Nadid Uma Uthma on GHOne News.
We are not supposed to do anything or allow any room to fester whereby one child is being discriminated against another in a school environment. So our policy and our position is that discussion that is ongoing, we seriously don't support that thing, and we think that it is not in good books for us to discuss that particular issue now, because the schools that are founded are largely founded by the state. And if I say the state, it translates beyond government. The government has this rule, maybe about 50-60%. That's why the schools are called government assisted. Then you have the PTAs, you have the old student association, you have maybe faith-based organization. Everybody who contributes into the pool. At the end of the day, the focus is that we want to make sure that our children get the best of educational quality and best of educational intervention.
But the Reverend, Most Reverend, does not agree with you. He believes that there's nothing discriminatory about what is happening in Wesley Girls.
There's a lot discriminatory about it. There's a lot. And you see, me, I'm a Christian. Mm-hmm. I'm a product of a mission school. I attended Boko Presby. I went to Boko Secondary School. I went to St. John Bosco's College in Avrongo. So I've transitioned between all the two. But the truth of the matter is that as far as the Constitution is concerned, you see, we cannot live in a country where schools which are largely founded and patronized by government and parents. We cannot sit there and allow privilege one religion over others. We cannot privilege one religion over others.
All right, so allow me to stay on the subject some more. Let's gauge the thoughts of an education consultant, that's Divine, on the development. Divine, thank you very much. So, yes, I tabled this down and I would want to run it by you first. Is it possible to maintain discipline and a unified school culture while allowing diverse religious practices? Yes, when you talk about religious practices, bring in tradition, bring in the Hare Krishna, bring in the Muslim, bring in the Ekanka. Can we maintain discipline if all of them are allowed to function?
All right, thank you. It depends on how you see or you define discipline. I don't think if we allow room for some reasonable elements of Christian, our Muslim brothers to practice their faith, it will actually cancel the thought of discipline in our school or dilute the practice of discipline in our school. In fact, we have over the years been practicing where a education system where we see the mission schools, especially the Christian mission school, creating room for our Muslim brothers to pray or even fast at some element. I've been to a mission school and I noticed it during their fasting time. The kitchen will prepare their food, reserve it, and for them, once they've broken their fast, they're going to eat. And yet, trust me, the school maintain a high level of discipline. So if we are to base this on the past experiences, I don't see how creating an element or even a reasonable element of religious room for our Muslim brothers to practice prayers or fast can actually dilute discipline in our schools. We've done this over the years. But mainly for me, the point I critically want to make is that I don't even think we should be heading to court with this particular matter. Ghana's long history of peaceful Christian-Muslim coexistence relies more on dialogue than litigation. And so the court ordinarily should have been the last resort. That is what I thinking that should have been the approach, because we have a memorandum of understanding where all the mission schools, especially their units, we have the Islamic education units, the Methodist education units, all of them signed the memorandum of understanding. And in that provision, it creates the room for some reasonable amount of others to practice their faith in an institution that is ordinarily not their original faith.
All right, Divine.
How can you sign up to that part? Yeah.
All right, kindly hold on for me. Let me pick this with child rights, and then I'll come back to you. Oh, kindly, it would be very short, okay? Kindly hold on for me. As Child Rights International, that CRI, is calling on government to develop a clear national policy to protect students' religious rights in secondary schools. Well, in a statement issued on November 26, 2025, CRI said every child has a right to education and the right to manifest their religion, and no school should deny these rights. Well, the call follows the recent controversy at Wesley Girls SHS. CRI noted that many mission-founded schools operate on long-standing traditions, while their status as government-assisted institutions makes the state oversight unclear. Well, the organization says this has created inconsistencies in how children's rights are enforced. They believe government must assume full regulatory responsibility and issue binding guidance on discipline, conduct, and religious expression to ensure no child identity is compromised. The group says stronger national policies will prevent future conflicts and protect students in all schools. Well, I'm back to you, Bright Akpia, who is on standby. He issued this out. Bright, you stand by this statement. Maybe help my viewers clearly understand a little bit. You lay the blame at the doorstep of government?
Oh, yes. We stand by the statement, and we feel that all these issues that are happening is as a result of we not having a universal platform to govern how we run our secondary school system. Therefore, people on their own discretion determine what should happen in that environment. And over the years, government have also relaxed in terms of how people do that without necessarily questioning the approach. So matters of this nature, in the past, you can enjoy those things, but one day somebody will rise to the occasion to challenge some of these things. So it's not just a matter of just leaving it on a conventional basis, but as a country, we need an express policy that direct the way and manner that we can also let children enjoy their rights. Because rights are not something that you can just deny a child. But if you also fail to create the right environment on the basis of our public policy, it makes it very difficult to enforce it. It makes it very difficult for you to let people practice the right that they deserve and all that. So it is important for us, for the system itself, to be able to be on the same platform so that when people are enjoying their right, they can enjoy it well without necessarily looking at it from certain perspective that is a Christian school, is a Muslim school, for that matter, certain things cannot be done. The state has the is a major shareholder when it comes to providing education to our children. Therefore, he has a lot of say in the way and manner things are done. So far as our constitution is concerned, there are things that we can do and there are things that we cannot do. But if you don't provide the right environment for the enjoyment of those rights, it makes it very difficult for you to come to certain conclusion that we are doing the right thing. So I think that the fundamentals must be right for us to ensure that if people want to enforce their religious identity, they'll be in a position to do that. And partly think that it is because the state have relaxed on these things. That is why we are seeing what we are witnessing in relation to the court issue and all that.
All right, Divine, thank you very much. Bright, I'll just pick Divine's thoughts shortly, and then I'll come for your concluding remarks there. Divine, you have been standing by for some time now. You've listened to Bright there. Let me find out from you. So the mission schools have mentioned that, look, these things that you see as propound, for instance, if it's about Methodists, it's part of our core central running of the institution. The Catholics have their own way. They say Hail Mary and everything every now and then if you've attended that school. Why don't you let us stand with our long-standing traditions and go on? Do you think they have a point in there?
All right, that makes this particular point sensitive one. Once it is faith and identity, it makes it so sensitive. And if you listen to the arguments being adduced on the other side, I mean the side of the church, they are also quoting the law. So they also tell you they also have the right to uphold their faith and stick to it. That is why I was making the point that we don't even need to start on the part of legality, because this issue could be ironed out amicably. Because at the end of the day, if somebody wins in the court, it doesn't inure to the benefit of the country. If it goes against the church has long over the years been agitating for control. They want an autonomy. They say, give our school back to us. If it goes against them, that agitation is going to heighten. And if we get to the point that it heightens, it doesn't go to the benefit of government to say the church has taken over their schools. Because at the end of the day, the schools have actually established a credential or have established an identity. And even if they make it private, people will still pay and they'll go. And that will only affect people of less economic background. So, and also if it also goes in favor of the church, it tells you that we are going to see a chaotic environment where the Muslims also feel that their religious identity is being threatened. So no matter the outcome of the court case, it doesn't inure to the benefit of the country.
So in few seconds, who should mediate?
This can be resolved using the tripartite approach, GHOne on one side, the Islamic Education Unit on one side, and then the Methodist Education Unit on one side. There is a memorandum of understanding that has been signed. They can go back to the table and talk about this. In that memorandum of understanding, it says that there should be a reasonable level of accommodation when it comes to the practice of other faith in faith-based institutions. So if today the Methodist Church is somehow going against that memorandum of understanding, the best approach is to sit down. What is the issue? You have signed up to that MOU. Today, what is the issue? And GES can step in to have this resolution done between these two education units without us going to this legality. But ultimately, I agree that we need a policy going forward, a policy that
clearly stated, Divine, because that policy has rightly been touched on by Bright. We're grateful for your time. Splendid point in the... I don't know if Bright is still on the other side. Hello, Bright. Unfortunately, I seem to have lost Bright in there. We're grateful for all the thoughts that have been propounded. We're taking a breather at this point. We're coming back shortly with some more. If you have just joined us, this is News Tonight on GHOne TV. My name is Kweku Temeng. We're back shortly with some more details. Do stay with us. We'll be back soon.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Kwame? As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trot from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Us.
From Georgia be luckiest, from that the she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame.
Kenya, God, the boom. If you're so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
All right, all is set for us to bring you the latest happenings from our world of business tonight. We look at pricing. Shortly, stay with us as we peruse further from the central bank. Now, the Bank of Ghana has cut its monetary policy rate by 350 basis points. That's from 21.5% to 18%, following a sustained decline in inflation. Well, the decision taken by a majority of the Monetary Policy Committee members reflects the central bank's projection of continued inflation stability around a target into the first half of the year 2026. Now, with inflation expected to settle between 4% and 6%. Maybe I should emphasize on that again. 4% and 6% by the end of the year. Well, there's more in the following report.
Inflation, which stood above 54% in December 2022, dropped into the bank's 6 to 10% target band in September and fell further to an over 4-year low of 8% last month. At its 127th MPC meeting, the bank said price expectations among consumers, businesses, and the banking sector remain firmly anchored, reinforcing the downward path of inflation. Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama noted that the bank's latest short-term model suggests inflation will continue easing and end the year between 6% and 8%.
The sustained disinflation has been driven by the continued maintenance of a tight monetary policy stance, sustained fiscal consolidation efforts, a stable currency, and relative improvement in food supply. Also, the bank's core inflation measure, which excludes energy and utility, has declined, reflecting significant moderation in underlying inflationary pressures. The bank's latest near-term forecast show that inflation will continue to decline and settle between 6.6 to 8% by the end of the year.
He added that prevailing high real interest rates created room to loosen monetary policy to support Ghana's ongoing growth recovery.
The committee, by majority decision, voted to lower the monetary policy rate further by 350 basis points to 18.0%. The committee will continue to monitor developments and take the appropriate policy decisions to ensure sound and stable macroeconomic conditions.
Dr. Isiama also announced that the central bank will now rely on 14-day bills as its main instrument for liquidity management.
All right, so you definitely would want to find out how this would impact, or in simple language, how this would actually affect your pocket. That's what GHOne TV does. We'll break it down for you very shortly. Now, Associate Director and Financial Advisor at Deloitte, Dennis Brown, joins me via Zoom at this moment to break this further down. Dennis, thank you very much for your time. So let me find out from you, is the 350 basis point cut justified at this point? We would want to find out from you.
All right, so good evening, and good evening to your viewers and listeners. This is the, let me say, the third in a series of big cuts by Bank of Ghana, specifically the Monetary Policy Committee on the monetary policy rate. In fact, the one before this was also around 350 basis points. And when that happened, I recall I had expressed worry because at the time, depreciation was picking up. I think the CD had depreciated between 10 to 13, from 10 to 13 CDs, and we thought that normally there's a pass-through effect on inflation, and typically when there are inflationary pressures, Bank of Ghana will rather tighten the monetary policy. But obviously, it looks like further a few weeks down the line, they have been proven to be right. They probably see something that we don't see. They have the benefit of all the data. And what they forecasted is what has happened. And so the 350 basis points they did before, they now seem to have yielded results by pushing inflation down to about 8%. And now they are looking at another 350 basis points. For me, over the last 5 to 6 months, we've seen the biggest vote of confidence in the economy by the Bank of Ghana. The rate was around somewhere 28% in May, thereabout, and now it's down to 18%. That is about 1,000 basis points, which, over such a short period of time is unprecedented, really. It tells you that they can see and forecast stability, continued growth, strong growth as well, and then, improved macroeconomics generally. And they expect that to continue into the first quarter. Hence, they are confident that a further cut of 350 basis points would propel growth and aid in our recovery efforts. Yeah.
All right. So, Dennis, you hammered on my next question slightly, but I just want my viewers to get a clearer understanding. So, I tried getting some answers from you. In this case, will it significantly reduce the cost of credit for specifically small and medium-scale enterprises, amongst others? Should they be expecting something when they go to the bank?
Yes. Whenever the Bank of Ghana drops the monetary policy rate, private sector, investors and businesses should, rightfully so, expect that to be telling on the average lending rate. What we've seen in time past, or more recently, are that regardless of those big cuts, the reduction on average lending rates, although has not been, as significant as expected. And the complaints have been that it could be, much more. What we noted from our discussions with private sector businesses is that these businesses are competing with foreign businesses and investors that have cheaper capital from elsewhere. And to the extent that they get capital much cheaper from elsewhere, if they are competing, with them, of course, it becomes very difficult because there's a pass-through effect on cost, and their products end up on the market being cheaper and outcompeting our SMEs. And that's why the issue of, average lending rates, particularly for SMEs and private sector in general, is a sensitive one. What we've noted is that regardless of Bank of Ghana's cuts, sometimes there are structural, problems that doesn't allow a full pass-through of the monetary policy rate and a full impact on the average lending rate. What we expect Bank of Ghana to do this time is to work closely with the fiscal policy institutions like Ministry of Finance and the other institutions to ensure that all such structural bottlenecks are addressed and that we see, a more telling impact of this big cut on the average lending rate. So, to put it mildly, yes, SMEs should expect, whenever the Bank of Ghana drops monetary policy rate, they should expect for that to have a telling impact on the average lending rates. But as to whether that will happen, well, we only have to wait to see. But yes, that is what I think is one of the reasons why Bank of Ghana is putting out this cut, so that cost of capital will become cheaper, and that would propel economic activities and strengthen our economic recovery.
Dennis Brown, thank you very much for your time tonight. I'm sure Dennis has set the tone for business. So let's launch into business and bring you some updates from our world of business. In business tonight, 22 local experts in Ghana's garment industry have completed an intensive 48-day training program aimed at strengthening the country's textile and apparel sector, while participants received training in production management, quality control, merchandising and costing, industrial engineering and social compliance. There's more in the following report.
Projects titled Training the Next Generation of Experts in Garment Manufacturing, TrainX, was carried out under the special initiative Decent Work for a Just Transition through the Invest for Jobs program. The trainees were taken through practical and classroom sessions, including factory coaching and internships. Through a collaboration between GIZ and the Brandex Corporate Campus, they also undertook a study tour in Sri Lanka. Component head for Invest for Jobs at GIZ, Simon Hoch, said the program has provided the participants with skills that will improve workplace efficiency.
The TrainX program, which is one initiative under the special initiative Invest for Jobs, is looking not only at creating a high number of decent jobs, but it's looking at, in particular, making sure this sector has a future. The sector has a future by making sure that the middle management is available. That is crucial to gain the full potential of Ghana's garment industry.
National Coordinator of the Association of Ghana Apparel Manufacturers, AGAM, Nana Pokua Ediama, called on the trainees to prepare more skilled workers to contribute to national development.
You are a significant dream come true of the Ghanaian garment sector. So just in case the road gets long and narrow and difficult, please remember that you're not doing this for yourself. You're doing this for a country that is counting on you and looking up to you. And to the numerous and capable investors represented by GIZ in this context who have sown into bringing us all this far.
Some of the trainees spoke about their experiences and how their training has enhanced their professional growth.
If it's going to impact not only my business but the industry that we are in, because there are miles ahead of us, but also there are opportunities in this country that can make us even supersede or go beyond that. These contents can actually help us take the garment industry in this country to the next level.
It's been really impactful because even before the group left for Sri Lanka, from the initial training that was done here in Ghana, we already started implementing some of the things that had been taught, everything from industrial engineering to production management to quality control. And so we are really excited to see the benefits that we'll be getting, not only as an organization, but the benefits that the whole industry here in Ghana will get from this training.
The program represents a major step towards developing a steady supply of skilled workers for Ghana's apparel industry, with the graduates now being placed in local garment factories.
All right, so in other business stories, Parliament has passed the Value-Added Tax Bill 2025, ushering in the most sweeping overhaul of Ghana's VAT system in more than a decade and officially abolishing the COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy. Well, the bill fulfills a key commitment announced in the 2025 budget and mid-year review to make the VAT system fairer, simpler, and more growth-focused. Finance Minister Dr. Kezia Latoforsen, who led the reform process, said the changes will remove tax distortions, reduce cascading effects, enhance compliance, and boost economic efficiency for households and businesses. Well, the Ghana Revenue Authority is expected to begin nationwide sensitization ahead of the implementation to ensure businesses and consumers fully understand the new measures. All right, so that's about it in business. I'm not done with the bulletin. We'll still enjoy some sports updates and bring you some international stories. Stay with that. I'll be back soon.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
2026 FIFA World Cup in USA, Canada, and Mexico, government has unveiled a high-powered 11-member committee, including 3 times African Footballer of the Year, Abedi Ayew Pele, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, Sports Minister Kofi Adams, Deputy Chief of Staff Stanley Dogbe, and Ghana Football Association President Kweku. The Oversight Committee is expected to coordinate activities before, during, and make recommendations for the next World Cup in 2032. Speaking during the inauguration of the committee at Jubilee House, Chief of Staff Julius Deborah urged the members to move away from scattered efforts, emphasizing that Ghana cannot afford to enter 2026 with the mindset of 2010 or 2014.
We qualified 2010, 2014 and went into the World Cup with understanding and hoping to bring the trophy back to Ghana. For several reasons, we couldn't. But there's always the appropriate time, which I believe is now. And the reason why it's now is that we need to take a holistic approach towards the entire project.
He also charged the committee to lead with accountability, speed, and national consciousness in order to fly the nation's flag higher at the global occasion.
This oversight committee must lead with accountability, speed, and national consciousness. The time for scattered efforts is over. That's why we say we are resetting our country. We cannot afford to enter 2026 with the mindset of 2014 and 2010. Let us correct what must be corrected and amplify what can be built. Let us lead with clarity. Let us act with urgency. Let us project Ghana with discipline and pride.
Now, the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Idi Adams, has inaugurated a 9-member ministerial advisory board to guide policy direction and drive major reforms aimed at strengthening Ghana's sports sector. The committee brings together a diverse team of experts from government, the private sector, and civil society, most notably football icon, the maestro Abedi Ayew Pele, to support the ministry's long-term development strategy. The advisory board will offer strategic input in critical areas such as youth development, governance reforms, and the expansion of inclusive sports initiatives across the country. The sports minister further revealed that the long-awaited Sports Development Fund is nearing completion and will soon be laid before Parliament. The fund, he noted, is expected to provide sustainable financing for sports infrastructure, athlete development, and grassroots programs. Now to some Champions League news. Liverpool will take on PSV in the Champions League tonight, and manager Arne Slot admits the club will never accept a situation where losing becomes normal. Liverpool head into tonight's Champions League clash with PSV Eindhoven at Anfield, still smarting from a 3-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest at the weekend.
Ridiculous almost. Something I didn't expect to be going to work at, let alone if you play at Liverpool, if you not play, I wish I played, if you manage Liverpool. So that is unbelievable. You will never find enough excuses to make it that you perform like this. So that's unexpected. For the club, for me, for everyone, and but I'm also working at a club. If there's ever a club you need to face this, maybe this is the best club to face it, because the harder it gets at a club like this, the more we are together, the more we are trying to achieve the things that Liverpool usually.
And that's all for sports. My name is Monica Bukhari.
All right, on the international front tonight, Omaru Sissoko Embalo has been arrested while in office. Military officers in Guinea-Bissau say they have assumed total control of the country in what appears to be a new coup attempt, declaring the suspension of the electoral process and the closure of national borders. Well, the announcement was read at the Army General Staff headquarters and broadcast on state television. The move came amid reports of gunfire near the presidential palace in Guinea-Bissau in the day. Roads leading to the palace were blocked and the checkpoints were manned by heavily armed masked officers. So yes, some updates from Guinea-Bissau. The development follows the recent arrest of several senior army officers accused of plotting a coup. Guinea-Bissau, which gained independence from Portugal in 1973, has experienced 4 successful coups and numerous attempts since then. My name is Kweku. Thank you very much for joining us on the bulletin. On behalf of the entire production team tonight, we want to appreciate you and urge you to stay on with us. We have information, education, and entertainment. Good evening.